experiment back then. 1920, there were about 700 wineries throughout California. By 1933, which was the end of Prohibition, repeal, 13 years later, there was about 130 wineries in Napa Valley, so quite devastating to the industry. The production in that similar time frame, production dropped almost 95%. Now those few wineries that continued to operate during Prohibition, they were supposedly legally operating. They were making wine for medicinal purposes and for churches as well. So that's how some wineries got through that period. But for the most part, very, very devastating. And there were wineries that either continued, Behringer's was one of them, they continued working through Prohibition. I believe Christian Brothers, obviously, because they were associated with the church. And England Charles Group was shut down during Prohibition, but started up right after that. And similar time frame, 1914, 1918, World War I, 1920, Beirut is traded to the New York Yankees. So that's our Prohibition era. Now, this is kind of where my family comes in. My grandparents, Cesare and Rosa, pictured in the center, in that picture there, they immigrated from Italy 1908. My grandmother, they'd just been married. My grandmother was about 18 years old. They had about $30 in their pocket. That was it. They came through Ellis Island and went up to Virginia, Minnesota. The reason they went there is they had family and friends that sponsored them to come into the United States. Iron mining community. My grandfather didn't like iron mining. He started a saloon. Then 1920 came along and with Prohibition, obviously that's not the business to be in. So he started a grocery store, and there was a considerable number of Italians in that area that of course loved their wine as their everyday beverage, which meant buying it during Prohibition. Northern Minnesota was not conducive to growing grapes up there. So the community got together and convinced or elected my grandfather Cesare to take a train to California during harvest and contract with wine grapes and ship them back so they could make their homemade wine. So my grandfather did that for 2 vintages, and then in 1922 moved the whole family, now a family of 4 kids, a little older here, you can see 4 up there, moved out to Lodi, California. Lodi is part of really Central Valley, California, the heart of the grape and vegetable and fruit packing business, and really developed and expanded the business of shipping fresh wine grapes to the whole northeast part of the United States. Not only Minnesota, but Illinois, and New Jersey, and Connecticut, Massachusetts, all over the place. And under 2 labels, principally 2 labels, Bacci and Valley Beauty. In fact, you can see the varieties there. This is Zinfandel and Alicante were the varieties here. Carignan was another variety as well. And my grandfather was quite a lucrative business. Completely legal because you're shipping grapes, you're not shipping wine. But what was interesting during Prohibition is a household could produce 200 gallons of wine or 4 barrels of wine for home consumption. So as long as they didn't sell it and consume it at home, and I don't know what the other restrictions were, it was legal to do that. So it's become a tremendous business. We point of about 600 train cars or box cars a season of these grapes being shipped to the whole northeast.
I'm sorry, how many?
About 600.
Wow.
Yeah, being shipped to the whole northeast part of the United States. So home winemaking was quite vibrant. In fact, it still is quite vibrant, home winemaking. So that how they initially got into the, their toe in the door for the wine business, got out to California. After repeal in 1933, my grandfather, who had just a grade school education in Italy, that was it, was recognized for his business acumen as an entrepreneur, and the bank invited him in to become president of an equity Boulder at a winery, a kind of a bulk producing winery in Lodi. So we did that, and then invested in a small winery up in Napa Valley, at that point called Sunny St. Helena Winery. Again, a small bulk producing winery. Today, you may recognize the brand that winery is now called Maryvale. So you see Maryvale, that comes from the same winery my grandparents bought in '37. And then after that, they want to get more involved with branded wines, branded winery. So just up the road from Sunny St. Helena Winery or Maryville, it's actually literally on the other side of St. Helena, so it's about 2 miles up the road. My grandparents bought the Charles Krug Winery. That was in 1943. So up the left, you see a picture of it. That's we call the Redwood Cellar, built in 1872. Top right, my dad on the left, Robert Mondavi. On the right, my father or grandfather Cesare in there. And then it happened. The purchase was in '43, but '41 is really when World War II broke out with the bombing of Pearl Harbor there. So we have other pictures here. We did a major expansion in 1958, '52. Here's some of the more significant leaders in the wine. In fact, that was probably the wine industry back then. Now you can fill a couple rooms with vendors and things like that. But that was pretty much the wine industry. So my grandparents bought the Charles Krug Winery in 1943. They bought the 150 acres that we have today. We have the historical buildings I mentioned. We bought the Charles Krug brand name, so that's why I have the brand name associated with my family name. And so 44 was our first vintage. From there, my dad still has a bottle full wine from the 44 vintage. Other things going on now. This shows my dad, Peter, on the bottom left, my uncle Robert, Andrei Chelichev, very famous winemaker in Napa Valley. Really, along with dad, really advanced a lot of the winemaking techniques. Of course, Louis Martini was here from Martini Winery. It was a very small, tight-knit group in Napa Valley because the wine industry was quite small in Napa Valley. Other things these luminaries did then was they created the Napa Enological Center in 1944. That was the precursor to what we have today of the Napa Valley Vintners. So it was a group that would kind of support, promote Napa Valley as a wine growing area. We also have Napa Valley Technical Group forums at 45, and that's again, the same people, but trying to share technical ideas on how to improve the quality of winemaking. Both these organizations still exist today. Of course, in the expanded forms and expanded roles as well. In fact, Napa Valley Vintners, I guess they're celebrating their 65th anniversary